Mercedes-Benz. Three words that are supposed to mean luxury, engineering, and prestige. And for most models, they absolutely do. But for 20 specific models on this list, those three words actually mean air suspension failure, electrical gremlin, and $4,000 repair bill. RepairPal gives Mercedes a reliability score of 3 out of 5 and ranks them 27th out of 32 car brands. The average Mercedes owner spends over $900 a year on repairs and visits the shop for unscheduled maintenance nearly twice as often as the average car owner. So before you hand over your money for that shiny three-pointed star, you need to know which models to run from. We are counting down from 20 to 1, and the number one spot might genuinely shock you. Number 20, the 2014 CLA 250. Mercedes built the CLA to lure younger buyers into the brand with a lower price tag. Mission accomplished. It sold like crazy. But here is the problem. At $30,000 to $40,000, it delivered almost none of what makes a Mercedes worth owning. The ride was harsh thanks to a basic wishbone suspension instead of air suspension. The interior felt cheap for the price, and then the mechanical problems showed up. 5 recalls, stalling engines, blown fuses, overheating, and reports of the roof panel potentially detaching while driving. Car Complaints still rates it as one of the worst model years in the entire CLA lineup. Number 19. The 2016 Sprinter. A commercial van might seem like an odd pick for this list, but plenty of people buy Sprinters for camper conversions and small businesses. The 2016 model endured 17 recalls. Owners reported broken drive shafts, seatbelt failures, braking issues, and a steering wheel that could lose power without warning. The previous 2015 model was already a disaster with roof leaks and exploding windshield complaints, so Mercedes had every reason to get this right. They made it worse. Number 18. The GLB 250 2021. Mercedes positioned the GLB as a compact family SUV. Sounds great on paper. In practice, J.D. Power gave the 2021 model year 1 of the lowest reliability ratings in its class. Owners dealt with transmission issues, electrical faults, and suspension complaints that had no business showing up on a nearly new vehicle. Annual maintenance runs around $900 according to RepairPal, which is steep for a compact SUV that was supposed to be the sensible choice. Number 17. The 2006 M-Class. The second generation M-Class debuted in 2006 and immediately stumbled. The gas-powered model suffered from faulty camshaft adjuster solenoids that led to complete engine failure. The diesel variants had crankshaft sensor failures that could leave you stranded. This was supposed to be the generation that fixed the first M-Class's mistakes. Instead, it introduced entirely new ways to drain your bank account. Number 16. The first generation A-Class from 1997. This one earned its spot in automotive infamy before a single customer drove it off the lot. During a standard Moose test in Sweden, the A-Class flipped over at just 60 miles per hour. Mercedes recalled all 2,600 units they had already sold and rebuilt another 17,000. Even after the fix, the car remained problematic. The engine sat low and was prone to damage, hard to access for repairs, and the CVT automatic transmission had an embarrassingly short lifespan. Number 15. The 2002 M-Class ML320. The original M-Class had a rough reputation, and the 2002 model year was the worst of the bunch. Power steering malfunctions and a faulty cruise control system triggered major recalls, both for problems that could directly cause a crash. On top of that, owners dealt with ABS failures, door locks that snapped off, and a parade of electrical issues. For a luxury SUV, it delivered more anxiety than comfort. Number 14. The 2014 E-Class facelift. Here is a tricky one. The pre-facelift W212 E-Class models were generally solid and well regarded. Then came the 2014 facelift, and everything went sideways. 9 recalls covered problems ranging from oil leaking onto hot engine components to rubber seals making contact with the exhaust system. Both of those are fire risks, not just inconveniences. If you want a W212, stick with the earlier models. Number 13. The GL450. The GL450 promised full-size SUV capability wrapped in German luxury. The V8 was smooth, the cabin was spacious, and the design was imposing. Then ownership happened. The air suspension system failed constantly, with repair bills running into the thousands. Electrical problems plagued the sensors, control modules, and entertainment systems. Depreciation hit harder than almost any other luxury SUV in its class, and maintenance costs climbed steeply as the miles added up. Number 12, the 2019 GLC. After a disappointing 2018 entry, the 2019 GLC was supposed to be the redemption arc. Instead, owners got fuel leaks, malfunctioning airbags, damaged power supply cables, worn-out tyres, and an unreliable emergency call system. Nearly a dozen recalls followed. The ride was uncomfortable, the steering felt cheap, and the tech interface was frustrating to use. For a vehicle in this price range, that is an unacceptable combination. Number 11. The R-Class. Mercedes tried to build a luxury minivan and ended up with a vehicle that failed at being both. The R-Class was more expensive than a fully loaded Honda Odyssey or Toyota Sienna, yet offered less interior space, no power sliding doors, worse fuel economy, and required premium fuel. Warranty Direct ranked it the second least reliable family car in its age category. Owners reported power steering pump failures, brake system malfunctions, and air conditioning compressors that were nearly impossible to source replacement parts for. Mercedes discontinued it in 2012 and nobody mourned. If you are finding this useful, hit subscribe. We cover the cars that look like great deals but secretly drain your wallet every single week. Now let us keep going, because the top 10 gets much worse. Number 10. The X-Class pickup truck. Mercedes looked at the pickup truck market and thought, what if we made a Nissan Navara more expensive? That is essentially what the X-Class was. Built on the Navara platform, it carried a Mercedes badge and a Mercedes price tag but delivered Nissan-level capability. It was too expensive to compete as a work truck and too utilitarian to sell as a luxury vehicle. Buyers saw right through it, and Mercedes pulled the plug after just a few years. One of the most pointless vehicles the brand ever produced. Number 9. The GLA 250 first generation. Mercedes shrank the GLA down to compete with entry-level luxury crossovers, and in doing so, they squeezed out everything that makes a Mercedes worth buying. The cabin was cramped, the ride was harsh, noise insulation fell short of every rival in its class. Reliability surveys confirmed what owners already knew. The first-generation GLA 250 scored among the worst Mercedes models for long-term satisfaction. It felt like a compromise from day one, and it only got worse with age. Number 8. The 2020 GLE 36 recalls. Let that number sink in for a second. The 2020 GLE racked up 36 NHTSA, recalls covering its 48-volt battery system, air conditioning failures, and a laundry list of electrical problems. Owners reported their vehicles stalling and losing power at highway speeds without warning. Mercedes issued a recall for the stalling issue, but other fuel-related complaints remain unaddressed. For a vehicle that starts well above $50,000, this is inexcusable. Number 7. The 2015 C300. The W205 Generation C-Class made a gorgeous first impression. Sleek styling, luxurious interior, modern tech. Then the engine problems started. The four-cylinder engine racked up over 120 NHTSA complaints. Owners kept seeing the P052E error code, which points to crankcase ventilation valve failure. That is not a cheap fix on a Mercedes, and it happened often enough to make the 2015 model year one of the most complained about C-classes in recent history. Number 6. The 2007 S550. The S-Class is supposed to be the pinnacle of Mercedes engineering. The 2007 S550 was the opposite. The M273 engine came with an idler gear made from cheap metal, and the teeth would deteriorate and fall out over time, triggering check engine lights and camshaft timing codes. The transmission was sluggish and unresponsive. Multiple electrical and suspension complaints piled up at the NHTSA. Car Complaints ranks it the single worst S550 model year ever produced. Number 5. The W210 E-Class 1996 to 2002. The W124 E-Class before it was a legend. Bulletproof engineering, incredible longevity. The W210 that replaced it inherited none of that reputation. The body panels were coated in water-based paint that promoted rust. The suspension spring perches corroded easily from water exposure. Valve cover gaskets failed regularly. Electrical systems threw constant gremlins. For a generation of buyers who expected Mercedes quality, the W210 was a brutal wake-up call that the brand had lost its way. Number 4. The SL600 R230 generation. A twin-turbocharged V12 in a luxury roadster sounds like a dream. Owning one is a nightmare. The active body control suspension uses hydraulic struts that run around $2,500 each. When they fail, and they will fail, the pump alone can cost up to $5,000 if a leak burns it out. And the V12 engine is so tightly packed into the engine bay that mechanics have to pull the entire motor just to access standard maintenance items. Most independent shops refuse to work on it entirely. Number 3. The W211 E-Class 2003 to 2006 pre-facelift. The W211 was supposed to fix everything wrong with the W210. The pre-facelift models did not. The Sensortronic brake control system, which Mercedes called SBC, is practically guaranteed to fail. If the car was never recalled and fixed for this issue, you are driving around with a ticking time bomb in your brake system. On top of that, the Airmatic self-leveling suspension is extremely unreliable and wildly expensive to repair. If you absolutely must have a W211, the 2009 model year is the only one worth considering. Number 2. The 2016 GLE 350. Powertrain failure that causes the vehicle to stop accelerating or suddenly shift to park without warning. Read that sentence again. That is not a minor inconvenience. That is a safety hazard that could get someone killed. The NHTSA documented additional complaints about the steering, structure, and engine. Repair costs for these issues are astronomical, and the problems are serious enough that the 2016 GLE 350 might be the most dangerous model on this entire list. Number 1. The W220 S-Class 1999 to 2005, the worst Mercedes ever made. Consumer Reports called it one of the least reliable luxury cars of its era. 7 out of 11 Mercedes models available at the time were not recommended by the publication. The W220 had it all, and by all, I mean every possible failure mode. The Airmatic air suspension collapsed regularly, with leaks at the strut tops, and pump pipework costing thousands to repair. The electrical system was a horror show of random failures, from door locks to instrument clusters to battery drain that left owners stranded. The engines leaked oil. The paint and body components rusted prematurely. The crank position sensor failed repeatedly. Even the soft closed doors broke constantly. This was the generation where Mercedes chose cost-cutting over engineering, and the S-Class, their flagship, suffered the most. A cheap W220 is the most expensive car you will ever own. Period. So there you have it. 20 Mercedes models that cost their owners far more in headaches and repair bills than they ever delivered in luxury. Now, Mercedes makes some genuinely excellent vehicles too. If you want to see which models are actually worth your money, that video is on screen right now. Subscribe so you do not miss it.